everybody. Now, you're still tuned into the Lowdown, and we just had an amazing performance by this author, this spoken word artist, ABR. One more time. Ooh. Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing,
thank you,
bro.
Thank you.
I got to ask you, man, that piece that you just did, man, what was the inspiration behind that?
Science. You know, people tend to believe what they're told, and I tend to wonder a lot.
Okay.
You know, and when you wonder a lot, people wonder about you.
That is true.
Like, yeah, what's
That
wrong
is
with it?
true.
You know, so I don't know. It's just my fight to always discover new things.
There you go.
You know?
And allow yourself to discover new things and not always conform, because as people, we've been conditioned, especially in this country, just to go along with what they tell you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I love that, man. Now, this was the piece you read. Like, you read from this book, Pools of Joy, man. Correct. I just want to say, amazing again.
Thank you, man.
Now, what can people expect if they pick this book up?
It's a lot of free-form poetry. The previous book was formatted, you know, in haikus, but this one is more just self-expression. Pools of Joy in general is just the idea of the laugh cry. You know, you laugh so hard that you cry.
Yes.
And what are those tears from? Something that you probably should have cried about weeks ago.
But you finally getting it out right now.
And it's just, it rides the wave of joy and it just comes out. So Pools of Joy, it's just me getting stuff off my chest, things I've thought about, things I witness, you know?
Gotcha. It's great, though, man. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I will say, you are a creative brother. Like, you really are. Like, your previous book, where it was all haikus, best title I ever heard of a poetry book. It's called Hut Hut Haiku. Like, bro, come on, man. I love the creativity, man. You look like a true artist, though. Like, you don't look like a dude that has a 9-to-5.
I do, but I don't want one.
You don't want one? No. And like I said before, I know you're a true artist because y'all suffer for your craft, and you wearing a scarf in Florida. That's how I know, bro. You're a real artist out here.
It's cold out here.
Yeah, it is cold out here,
but it's
man.
hot too, though.
There you go. Now, I got to ask you, how did you first discover your love of poetry?
A friend of mine invited me to a Facebook group. My friend Jimbo. He invited me to a Facebook group called Haikus or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I started writing haikus, and he was making like silly fart jokes and stuff. And then I just went in there and my brain started going overdrive, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I can turn 2 paragraphs of thoughts into one little boop.
Now, how long had you been doing poetry at that point?
It's probably like 2018, 2017 that I started doing the haikus, and people would see me in the street. You're the guy that makes haikus.
Really? Bro, so you only been doing it for that short amount of time, and you already have written that well?
Yeah. Well, thank you.
But no, bro, come on, no, man.
Yes.
Like so many people, like during the pandemic and stuff, you found your calling.
During the pandemic, we went on tour. We were like, it was weird.
Are you a Floridian?
I'm born in Jamaica. I was raised in Miami.
Raised in Miami? Yeah, I could tell because you did not give a damn.
No.
You just, during the pandemic, like, we just gonna go on tour.
We went farther than ever. I don't know. It was weird.
So tell me about that, though. You actually went on tour during the pandemic. You're like, man, I'm not gonna stick around. I'm gonna actually get out here and do something.
So we went to New York with a group.
You went to where it was hot, like when COVID was like.
But it was right before it became news. So that December of 2019, I had gotten sick. So I'm pretty sure I got it.
Yeah, you had the OG strain.
Yeah, that first
one was, ooh, yeah.
So we went to New York, came back. As soon as we come back, like March 12th, 2 weeks later, the news breaks out, and we're like, oh, we were just.
You were just there.
Yeah. So, and then we went back the following year, and it was crazy. There was these tracking. They're trying to track where you're going.
Absolutely.
Everything shut down at 9 o'clock. And we were just like at these super secret parties, just throwing shows.
Gotcha. Now, doing the poetry that you do, where has it taken you besides like New York and whatnot? Because I know when you do these things, you get to travel and spread the word to folks, man. Where have you gotten to go?
I think New York was the coolest
place you had been
so far.
Gotcha.
Since I started this journey, I'm working on trying to go to different countries. I'm getting my passport done.
Okay.
I got the forms on my table.
There you go.
I'm trying to get it done ASAP. I have some opportunities come up, but I don't want to speak on them too fast.
Because you want to make sure you get everything right.
But just know I'm trying to get my passport.
I ain't mad at you, bro. All right. Now, you have a blog that you also do as well.
Yes, it's on Medium.
Okay.
I do a lot of writing for entrepreneurs and other creative spirits, because a lot of my audience is other creators.
Okay.
So I try to give them knowledge and insight. Just anything I come across, I'll just make how-tos. My friend Ivan, my photographer, inspired me to start my blog again. So it's very cool to stay connected, and instead of just always giving people, here, read my new poem. Like,
give them something else. Let them see you for who you are, man. Let them be endeared by the things that you're actually out here doing. Yes. So I will say this, man. You are an author. You are a poet. You do blogs as well, but you also are a musician.
I am.
Talk about that a little bit. Like your whole This looks like musician to me. Right there, man.
The short, long version is we started making beats like in 2004.
Okay.
A couple years later, I picked up the microphone. A couple years after that, I stopped being bad. And, and then
He said, I picked up a microphone. A couple years later, stopped being bad at it.
and then people started paying us to do things. So, you know, it's like you just see that progression of taking, you know, exposure and people trying to pimp you out sometimes. And
Oh, yeah.
to
Oh,
the
yeah,
point
bro.
where, like, you know, you'll have one person, hey, you want this opportunity? And then they got that snaky look in their eyes, and another person's like, hey, I'll give you this handful of money to come stand here and do nothing. I'm like,
There you go.
but it's very cool. I get to express myself. I went from being super introverted to now I can come outside and I don't mind being around people.
Gotcha.
I recommend going on stage, speaking some poetry if anybody is afraid of crowds or anything, because it really helped pull me out of my shell, and
There you go.
people give me money. I'm
go.
gonna highlight that part. 'Cause
Gotcha.
that's-
Now, I want you to do something for me in the audience. Tell them the difference between free-form poetry and haiku, because you wrote this book, which I love, man. A great title right here, man. Hut Hut Haiku.
Yes.
Now, what's the difference so people know?
So a haiku is this Japanese art form where you have a 3-line poem that is made up of 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second line, 5 syllables in the third line. So if I were to say, a beautiful day when the sun is shining through and the clouds are few. That's a haiku, right?
On the spot. Okay, all right.
So those are all, each chapter there is following the emotional scale, starting from shame, going to enlightenment.
Okay.
And just has 5 haikus revolving around each emotion.
Gotcha.
So I was inspired by another book I read, Power versus Force, when I put this together. And then as far as Pools of Joy, it doesn't follow any format. There's no progression or anything like that. It's just ideas that I had. Some of the poems are 3 pages.
Wow.
Some of them are 4 lines.
Gotcha. That's all that poem, that piece needed.
It's just, you know.
Now, I want to ask you before we go real quick, man, about the shirt.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that and what that means.
All right, so thank your water, not me. If you've ever heard of Dr. Masaru Emoto and other scientists who, you know, dance around the edge of thought.
Okay.
There's ideas that you can talk to your water, you know, that your water has memory, that you can increase the quality of your water by saying nicer, more pleasant, more high vibrating things to it.
Really?
And I started thanking my water once I learned about all these things. I started telling people to thank your water. Everywhere I go, I ask people if they drank water. And people will say, you know, sometimes, oh, I didn't drink water today, but thanks. And I'm like, no, thank your water, not me.
Yeah, okay, all right, I get it. I'm going to start talking to my Hennessy. But anyway. But I see you brought me something here, man. Go ahead, pull this out, man. Let us see what this is.
This is one of my shirts that I have. My Instagram title is, it's ABR, ya bish.
Which sounds a lot like something else.
Yeah. But
you go.
it's made up for art purposes, of course.
I love it, man. Love it.
Yes.
Now, I want people at home watching you right now, man, to enjoy you as much as I have. So I want you to give everybody your social media real quick.
All right, so you can find me actually at It's ABR Ya Bish on Instagram. and a lot of other social sites.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for being with me
you,
today, brother.
I appreciate you.
Thank you guys for tuning in on behalf of myself, James John, my wonderful guest, ABR, and as always, tight Mike Randolph. We will see y'all tomorrow. Nice. All right, welcome back, everybody. You are still tuned in to the Lowdown. Now, my next guest is an author, he's a poet, and he's been doing a reading from his book, Pools of Joy. Y'all give it up for ABR.
Thank you. From my second book of poetry, Pools of Joy, this is Science. People scream science when you tell them your thoughts. When you let them venture in almost unwillingly, they all stare so chillingly into the depths of your imagination. Lost, dazed, and confused as you explore ideas like manifestation, Earth's modulation, Pleiadian vacations, map configurations, pyramid locations. How do you explain that on often occasions you've managed to manifest that which you've needed, that for which you did not complain? People scream science when you ask why, like scientists don't get grants to try all day long hypotheses, dotting I's and crossing T's. It's all just words and themes, names and meanings they can feed you so that you never get inquisitive. People scream science when you explain that you and few others share etheric chains. Those who know you and know to console you without even knowing where on this plane you are. People scream science to disprove imagination. Meanwhile, the actual scientists are innovating, trying to make the world more like the same imagination you say science disproves. Everything I see is fake. Everything is smoke, mirrors, and duct tape. We can't even see the elephant in the room anymore to know he's there to ignore. What's more in store for me? The boy they called genius when I could so easily repeat the corn-feed syllabus on which I'd feast with the other little ones. They scream science like I didn't kill it in school, memorizing the same things you did, if not better. People scream science and shun religion like history books don't get rewritten too, like slaves were what? Interns, and the natives were like, what? Take this land, fam, it's cool. Bam, bam, have some Kool-Aid and corn. I see scientists as prophets. Nice robes, fam. Amen. For the most part, people just believe them because they got robes on. It's not like people be reading the science journals they put their hopes on. I get it, though. It's hard to let it go. Something that was so deeply ingrained, force-fed through your mandible while you stood pledging allegiance to your country under God in the same class you learned about the science you referenced when denying the great beyond. They scream science as if I believe everything I read, everything that has my interest piqued. It is not I that is held captive by belief, for I find relief in wonder, while you bring me grief for doing so. Shout out to my homies, a few or so, who can laugh with me when I postulate the craziest ideas, seeing reality as I do, not through biased eyes. See, I would love to know the truth, but thinking for myself is good enough. People scream science like most people scream amen on Sunday. True enough. Science.
Hey. Yo! Yes! Yes! Oh, yo! What? Oh, me?
Yes. All for you. All for you.
Oh, thank y'all so much. Yeah. Mike, they love us.
They are prepaid.
All right, nice.
There you go. Yeah.
I will pay you back.
Sure.
Never, but
all
thank
right.
you.